How's it going, everybody? Nothing super special tonight. We're just going to talk a little spring fishing, answer some questions, kind of see if anybody's been out, how the water's treating them. We've got another crap ton of snow coming here this week, and it is what it is. We're going to be heading to California here next week on spring break, and looking to get out of Dodge here for a week or so. And yeah, how's it going, Chris? Did your boys get a chance to eat those perch? So as people come and go, I guess who's been out? Who's been out in the boat, or who's still ice fishing? I gave up ice fishing here with the crappy conditions, and now we're supposed to get another foot of snow. I thought about going on a trip someplace, going north, or going out to Devils, or maybe down to Iowa. But looks like everybody's going to get a bunch of snow here and just kind of make things miserable here this next week. So it is what it is. Winter just won't let go. I wish we had a whole bunch of ice underneath this so we could preserve it and we could still get out. But oh well, Mother Nature rules the roost again and shows us who's boss. I have been working on some sales stuff, trying to get stuff ready to present to all of our dealers for the Eskimo, Ion, Markham. We've actually picked up a few new lines, not so much in Wisconsin, but we are going to be taking care of all the Mustad and Z-Man stuff over in the Minnesota area and the Dakotas, I believe, and pretty excited to work with some of those guys. And like I said, I don't have a whole lot of responsibility over here in Wisconsin. It's going to be more in Minnesota than that, but we'll help all the dealers out over here and do the best we can, and try and help the guys in the stores and everybody out with those lines as well. We're getting geared up. I'm starting to pour a bunch of jigs. The boat is it's so close. I've got a couple electrical things I got to button up yet, and she's going to be ready. And a good chance maybe before the snow, I'm probably going to go try and sneak it in the water tomorrow and go see what I can muster up and just make sure everything works and start breaking in the motor. But like I say, another foot of snow coming in on Thursday and Friday, and that's just going to shut things right down. It's going to get dirty, and more current, and just going to be crappy. So good time to start going through all the tackle boxes. And who on here makes all their own tackle? I'm a big tackle junkie. I like making my jigs. I tie my own hair jigs. I make my own flies. And so that's what we're going to talk about a little bit too tonight, is just kind of, gear and stuff like that, getting ready for spring. I had one guy that is requesting how I tie up my fly rigs. I do something a little bit different than what a lot of guys do around here. And I learned from more of the guys down south fishing sabiki rigs, which is basically a rig that's used to fish bait, or catch bait fish, which for the most part about the size of our white bass down in the ocean, down in Mexico and Florida. And so I kind of brought some of that stuff up here and tried using it for the white bass. And I've made a few little tweaks and some modifications, and using a little bit bigger baits than what's on a traditional sabiki rig. But now I am able to cast out 3 flies at a time, or run 3 flies at a time on one line, and not have any no swivels or anything like that. It's a one-piece system. Takes a little bit to tie. I'm not going to lie. Pretty much sit in bed and tie up leaders and just wrap them around a pool noodle so that when I'm ready to go, I can just pull those things off and ready to fish. So now's the time, preparation, and get things ready. So I'll be shooting a full video strictly on that. It'd be so hard to do here and do it live because I'm going to do some cutaways and stuff like that with the cameras. So I'll be working on that here this week too before we head to California next week. So I'll give you guys some time to figure it out, learn how to do it, and then get ready for the spring run that's going to be coming here hopefully sometime in March. I know a lot of guys have been out fishing the Fox already, catching a ton of fish up there. I'm glad now it's finally down to one fish over 28 because those fish were just getting clobbered up there. There were a lot of fish getting killed. And, it is what it is. But problem is those are all our spawning fish. And there's no reason to go up and really wail on those things. Let those fish be. Kind of like catching fish out of the barrel. I haven't gone up there and done it. I don't need to go up there and do that kind of stuff. I don't mind going up there and catching and releasing, but to go up there and just put a hurting on all those spawning fish that's a little bit out of my comfort zone. I know there are a few guys that have still been walking out or trying to get out over on the east side of Winnebago. And more power to you guys. You won't catch me out there. There's nothing that I don't even have any interest right now of going over on that east shore, doing much of that. Like I said, most of the ice around here is gone. A couple small little areas where guys were still trying to walk out and catch some bluegills and that. But I'm focused now pretty much on boat fishing. With this snow coming up, it's going to give me a week here of vacation and some preparation to get ready for the open water season, and the nitro will be ready to go. The water is low in Fremont, and really isn't much current, but I know that's going to change. They're drawing the water down pretty fast right now. I believe all the gates and everything are open up in Needham and Asha. So the drawdown's starting, and we're going to get a bunch of precipitation, whether it be snow, and hopefully this precipitation continues and is more in the form of rain versus snow. But hey, any water is water, and I'll take anything we can get to help bring up the water levels and get some current, start flushing some system into the river, or some fish into the river, and getting the season going. That being said, like I said, has anybody been out? Who's been on the river? Who's been jigging up some walleyes? Where you guys been fishing? Where you guys seeing? And just please chime in, ask some questions. Let's see. I'm getting some. Jared's giving me a yaller here too. Here, we're going to talk to him on the live. What's happening? You're on live. Yeah, join in if you want. If you want to chat fish and tell us how what you seen up in the Fox today. A lot of carp. All right. Oh, here, I'll send you a message. You can join us. I'm just out of the shower. It's nothing nobody's seen before. He just got out of the shower, so we're gonna we'll give him a little bit, but all right, jump on when you can. Bye. Jared was out fishing today. He went and checked a couple spots and found a lot of carp up by the Fox and the Amro. So Brad, yes, I am running lithium batteries, and I've been running the amped 100 amp hour batteries. I've got 5 of them in the boat, and I have never run out of power. Anybody that knows me, I run a lot of electronics, spot lock a lot. And this is here, I'm going to tell you something new for me this year is going to be, I've always been an Altera guy. So as a guide, I always fish out of the back of the boat or pretty much stay at the helm. And I've always ran the Altera. And this year, I picked up the Ultrex, and I'm going to try it. The one thing I love about the Ultrex is, if you are river fishing, that fast, instantaneous cable drive motion, right? That's the biggest thing, is fishing the rivers in the springtime. That Ultrex is super fast. But the other thing is with all these electronics, the 360, the Mega Live, all that kind of stuff on the boat. With an Altera, there's no real good way to mount it. You had to use like a universal arm that went over the side of the boat for the 360, and then the pole for the Mega Live, which I'll still use that. But now with the Ultrex, I can run my 360 right off my bow mount. I can deploy it, and it's in the water. So I have a feeling I'm going to use it a lot more, and kind of looking forward to that. It definitely is a lot better setup for river guys. But as a guide, I'm in the back, and very seldom will I ever go up to the front of the boat to raise and lower the motor, just because I don't like walking over the top of people. So it's going to be a little bit of a change. I'll still have my remote to control the motor from the back if I need to, but we're going to have all the screens set up. We got 2 screens up in the bow, 2 screens in the back. Everything's all networked, so everybody can see everything, no matter where you're at in the boat. So I'm pretty excited to try something new. It's been a complete game changer for me with the rig and the nitro, because ran the Lunds for so many years that I had everything down to a science, and it would literally be if the customer didn't buy everything as is, I would take everything off. I'd take my stereo out, and it was literally, I could take it out and put everything right back in just a matter of a few hours. And learning and rerouting and wiring and kind of figuring out all the stuff in the nitro has been completely new to me. So it's taken a little bit more time, but one thing is, I always want to do things right. And the one thing about rigging your own boats is, if we're fishing a tournament, or we're up on the bay, or we're someplace and something happens, I know where every single wire is. I know where everything is connected. I typically go through everything is soldered, heat shrink. I don't want to ever have anything happen to an electrical connection in the boat. So anybody that does buy my boats, that's one of the biggest things, is you are getting a boat that has gone through 1,000 times better than most any dealers that I've ever seen really rig a boat. A lot of times it's just, crimp and go, and stuff rattles loose, and I don't ever want to have that. Brad, did you get the racing rims for that trailer? No, I didn't spend the money on no racing rims. I'm not worried about going fast anymore. I'll put the money into some crankbaits or some baits instead. Let's see. So, yeah, get the trolling mount motor or the trolling batteries charged. They are charged. Everything is ready to go. Still waiting on a couple parts for my stereo. So I got to settle for just a little bit of quiet music for now. What's a good casting pole for cranks? So when you're casting crankbaits, I like something with a really soft tip. You can get a little bit of a whip on the rod to get a better distance, especially fishing lighter cranks. And I'm like a 7.5 foot light to medium light with a pretty fast tip. That seems to work pretty good. It's kind of an all-around good rod. 2B has got a nice 7.3, and I prefer the Elliott's. And this year now we've got a couple new rods coming out for Elliott. There's going to be a new identity series of rods. Basically, it's kind of every rod is going to have a specific identity built right into the rod to kind of let you guys know, all right, this is what it's for. I mean, it kind of takes a lot of the guesswork out, but that doesn't mean that, a lot of these, some of the best rods that are out there are, like Bass Guys, for example, have some pretty stellar drop shot rods that I love for pitching, small jigs in the weeds and stuff. So there's a lot of technology that kind of crosses over, and the guys, Greg Thorne and Paul Thorne, those guys up at Elliott and 2B, have done a really nice job. They've got a new series of rods come out. It's called Series Rods. It's going to be a price point rod from these guys. And I fished quite a bit with them last year and had clients in that fish with them last year. And to be honest with you, I think I spent more time with those in my hands than I did with the Elliots. And you're talking like $120, $130 rod that has got an awesome grip, very, very well balanced. Not as lightweight as what an Elliott is, but the sensitivity is there, the actions are there. Just a superior product when you start looking at what else is out there in the marketplace. So you're definitely going to want to take a look at that. That's the series rods. And we'll try and get the boys on, maybe here in the next week or two. Next week I won't be available. I'll be in California, but maybe that following week we'll see if we can't get Aaron from 2B Elliott on, and maybe we can talk about the new series rods, and he can kind of go through some stuff there. But let's see. I also bolt my electronics through with plates on the back instead of just screws. Yeah, absolutely, Chris. On our big boats, we're banging pretty hard, and the last thing I want is for this stuff to vibrate loose. So most of the stuff that I do, I Loctite everything. Just today, kind of messing around, putting the smooth moves in and running the wires for the air or for the pumps for the seats. I noticed, even the screws were already starting to come loose. So Loctite everything down and make sure everything is through bolted, not just screws going through fiberglass. That was the other thing too, is getting back. Now, I worked with John Johnson up at Recon and built quite a few fiberglass boats from the ground up. So I kind of got a good idea on, what I'm doing with fiberglass. And that's probably the biggest fear a lot of people have, is drilling holes in fiberglass boats. It's not like aluminum where you can just take a drill bit, drill through. You got to be super careful when you're mounting electronics or anything, when you're drilling through gel coat and fiberglass, because this stuff will spider crack and flake pretty easy. So quick little tip is, start small with a drill bit, always drill a pilot, and then, step up your drills there. I always use a step drill bit and then a countersink. But if you have to go, a lot of times everybody runs quarter inch bolts. Yep, Brad, I was just going to say, start with like a 16th or an 1/8 inch drill bit to get your pilot. And then your next step up, whether it be a quarter or, 5/16, whatever size drill bit you're going to use, put it in a high speed drill, put it in reverse and drill in reverse. And that way there, you won't have to worry about, busting out your fiberglass. And then always take a countersink bit and make it, kind of make that cone through that first layer of clear and metal flake, and you'll never have to worry about it, spider cracking or cracking in those holes. So that's, I guess, the tip for drilling through fiberglass. I've rigged a lot of boats in my days. I used to, probably, I'd say on average 60 boats a spring or so I would rig, and did a lot of electronics for guys, or a lot of guys that, would only let me touch their boats. Just because of how thorough of a job I did, like I say, heat shrinking, soldering all the connections, tying everything up, keeping everything neat and clean. And that way there, it's a lot easier to find and keep things organized, especially if you start having problems. Everything's labeled. So it just makes things easier if something happens. Brad, it's what feels best for you and works best for you as far as power. Yeah. There's no real wrong answer. The one thing you don't want to use when you're throwing a crankbait rod is something really stiff. You want to have something that when you're cranking, you can watch your rod tip, so you can always make sure that your bait's working good. But then when a fish bites, a lot of times you want it to load up. Versus, if you got a stiff rod and your rod's not doing much, and you go and try and, set the hook, good chance you're going to rip that bait right out of that fish's mouth. So you want a nice soft rod, and just the longer the better, is going to allow you to cast a lot further. And, when you're fishing, that smackdown braid from Seagar, definitely the way to go for casting. Use a 10-pound or even the 15-pound. Thinner diameter will cut the water, cut the current. It'll flow through your guides a lot easier. You're going to get longer casts, and way different than probably most what anybody's ever used. It's one of the biggest things I always hear from guys is, when they start casting the SmackDown stuff, it's like, wow, we can cast like twice the distance than what we could in the past. And its stuff is amazing. If you've never tried it, never used it, pick yourself up a spool, and I'm pretty much going to guarantee you that will be your line of choice from here on out. If you're vertical jigging, I've talked about this. I've done videos. When we're in the rivers, and especially when this current starts going, the biggest thing about vertical jigging, vertical is staying vertical, right? So when you're fishing, whether it be a fluorocarbon or a monofilament or a braid, you want to have the absolute thinnest line you possibly can, so your line doesn't have a bow in it. That current's coming down the river, it's going to take that line. I don't care, the heavier the jig you use, the less of a chance of a fish, sucking that thing in. So you always want to use the lightest jig you can possibly get away with, yet stay vertical. So using that 10-pound SmackDown, that stuff is so thin that the current really doesn't have much to do to create a bow in that line. And we can usually get away with at least a size or two less than what you would normally have to use and keep your baits vertical. So just something to look at, especially now that we're getting into the river fishing. If you're casting blade baits and heavier baits, that 10-pound isn't the answer. You're going to want to go to like a 15 or a 20-pound, just because there too you're going to be rubbing on the rocks quite a bit, and obviously you're going to get snagged up on fish or branches or whatever, and having that 20-pound or that 15-pound is just going to give you a little bit more advantage as far as getting the baits out. And then after that, if the water's dirty, I'll tie a snap directly onto the SmackDown braid and put my crankbait or whatever right onto the braid, no leader. But if it's clear and you've got a little bit of visibility in the water, then you want to go down, and typically I'll run like a 10 or a 12-pound gold label leader and tie that to either a small barrel swivel, or either use an FG knot or a double uni directly from the braid to the leader, and that seems to work pretty good too. That way, those two knots will go through your guides pretty easy. So if you are casting, you don't have to worry about it getting caught up in your guides. Let's see, what other questions do we got here? Reading back. All right, I'm going to see if I can't invite Jared in. He can come join us. I tried getting a hold of Walleye Mafia, Troy. He didn't respond back to me. I was going to have him give us a report on up at the Fox. Like I said, I don't really get into going up there and whacking on all those fish quite yet. It's coming, but typically when I go up there, I do a lot of nighttime fishing. Try and get up there once everybody is leaving, and I'll spend the nights up there versus the daytime. Daytime is just too crowded for me. I just don't even. I mean, you can try and get away, but I think, like everybody said, anybody that had a boat in the state of Wisconsin was probably at the pier this past weekend. From all the pictures I seen too, it's pretty crazy. It's just, it doesn't really doesn't appeal to me. I'd much rather go out and enjoy time on the water with friends and be a little bit more relaxed. Looking at possibly even going to like Oshkosh or someplace close. We're gonna get a report here from Jared. We'll see if he gets this. He was, like I said, he was up in the Fox today around Amro, and it was full of carp, sounds like. So this is what it is. Ever since they built that stupid break wall out on the Butamore, the way the current has come out of the Fox River from Eureka and Amro, it's never been the same, and it keeps getting worse and worse every year. And the other thing is that when they put these tags in these walleyes, what they've found is a lot of the walleyes from Winnebago are going up the Fox, they're going up the fish ladders, and they're ending up over by Princeton and up in the Puckaway, and they never come back. So, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess those lakes got to stay fed too, but We've lost a lot of fish, I think, up that system over the years, and it definitely is not what it used to be. The white bass don't go up there anymore. The walleyes really don't go up there much anymore. We see a few catfish, but even the numbers of catfish are down. It really has changed that whole system. Adam, hey buddy, how's it going? Any good shore locations for when the run happens? I don't have a boat, but want to catch some fish. So Adam, there's a lot of great places right in Oshkosh. You can go out and fish along the trail there, and cast flies. You can fish by the Wisconsin Ave bridge, where the trail on both sides of the river there, over by the college and then over by the tech. You've got the T docks up in Oshkosh by Rainbow Park, or right there in Rainbow Park, both sides of the Oshkosh Ave bridge. You can walk down by the 41 bridge. You can take that trail, either take a bike or walk down and fish underneath the 41 bridge. Probably one of the best spots in the entire system. You can go up by Fremont, fish underneath the bridges there, or fish from the docks. You can go up. A lot of people fish off of Red Banks, just north of Fremont, off of their dock there. There are a ton of places to fish from shore, during the run, and that's for walleyes and white bass in total. So, good question, and that. I did a video a few years back when I was still at the Reel Shot on all the different shore spots. So maybe that'll be something good to work on again, is kind of go over and cover all the shore spots and, give some guys some places to go from shore that don't have the luxury of getting out in the boats. Otherwise, if you ever want to come along, bring your cameras, and you can be the camera guy, and we'll go out in the boat and take some pictures or shoot some video, and you can tag along. We'll go catch some fish, and just bring your cameras. Rupert, Randy, I'm trying, man. There's only so much time in the day, and with everything going on right now, it's trying to get this thing rigged has been it's been a challenge. I haven't been able to fully just just dive in and stick to it, for an entire couple days. And I really need to do that, but we're close. Like I said, I just got a couple electrical things I got to button up. I got one seat wired. I got to wire my seat yet. And then I think she's ready to go. So pretty excited to get that thing in the water. Can't wait to take some pictures and see that thing run. It's going to be a good year. I'm pretty excited. Got to figure out who's going to be the first guy to put a walleye in the boat. Let's see, what else do we got going on? Who makes their own jigs in tackle? We're seeing a lot of guys out there. Mike Rumlow's been doing a bunch. There's a bunch of, even these younger kids. I've had the fortune of meeting some, really young entrepreneur kids that are still in middle school and that are doing, a ton of business. It's a great thing to learn. It's very inexpensive. I mean, granted, the more you do it, just like, I do maple syrup. I put, I think the first couple years, maybe put like 15, 20 taps in the tree. And now, I'm up to 80 to 100 taps in the trees. So, it's one of those things where it's kind of an addiction. Once you get going, it's fun to do. It's enjoyable. It's just not enough time in the day. This time of the year, we've got spring walleye fishing. Typically, we've got late ice fishing. We've got, maple syrup time. We've got jig making. We've got river fish. I mean, it runs nonstop, and you just got to find time to do it all. And fortunately, when you got kids and everything else, the time just isn't there like it used to be. Brad, are you direct wiring your smooth moves? Yes, I am. I actually, I went down, and I'll show I can post some pictures tomorrow. My wire, I coiled. So typically when somebody's going to rotate your seat, you're going to rotate it towards the back. So I gave myself a little bit of a pigtail, and then drilled a hole through the plate, down through the floor, and then straight to my batteries. And I've got both of those wired directly in, so that way guy can sit on the seat, pull or push and raise or lower the air pressure in the seats, and good to go. So don't have to worry about putting any cigarette lighter adapters in or anything like that. It'd be super easy. Randy, hey, congrats on the house, by the way. Let us know if you're needing hand to move stuff, or if you need to place your deer heads or any fish in the boathouse here. There's always room for you, bud. People that don't have a fish and prices for 3 people, share some expenses. Absolutely, if people want to get together. So for the spring run, you're going to be looking, right around $500 a day to go out for a full day fishing, everything included. I tie flies, make jigs, and also tie my trailer hooks. That's awesome. I started doing jigs when I was in high school, and making jigs and weights and stuff for bait shops all across, the Northwoods, around here locally, guys that worked at my uncle's work. Just really enjoyed it. And I never got rid of any of my stuff. I've just, kept collecting. I think I'm up to probably about 100 molds, different molds now, some custom, and pretty much can do just about every type of jig, sinker, weight, you name it. If there's something that can be poured, I've probably got it, and probably have a bunch of stuff already poured, just waiting to get painted. And that's going to be the next thing I was kind of showing Fisher tonight. We've got a new mold tonight, a really, really thin river jig mold that I'm super excited to try and get some hair tied up on these things. I think it's going to be pretty nice. But yeah, I mean, if when you go through as many jigs, I mean, there's days I'm out in the water with clients, and I literally start tying, and I don't think I stop tying until the day is done, unless I got to move the boat, obviously, throughout the day. Gives me time to drive the boat. But there's days where I know I go through 150 jigs easily. And if you had to go out there and buy those things, in that many, it would cost a fortune. So I make all my own. I powder paint. It's super easy. Again, I'm not one of these big custom painted guys. I've got a few colors that I really like for, fishing in the river and different times of the year. And then again, out on the lake. It's super easy to powder paint them, put them in the oven. And Greg, if you've used the powder paint and don't bake it, yes, you're correct. It chips very easy. But when you bake that powder paint, here's the deal. If you forget to open your eyelets before you bake, you're done. You're screwed. You got to have a drill bit to drill out your eyelets, because that stuff is not coming off. I have never had powder paint chip after baking. It just doesn't happen. Sure, it takes a little bit more time, but if you're just doing it for yourself, and Greg, I've never had powder paint chip at all, ever. I mean, like I say, if I forget to drill out my eyelets, I've got a tiny little drill bit, but if there's a few that don't even, for whatever reason I forget, typically I just put them back in the lead pot and just take the lead off the hooks and redip them, because it's such a pain in the rear end to get that stuff off. That could be maybe old paint, but I can't even say that, Greg, because years ago when I first started getting into this stuff, like I said, I was still in high school, and I bought the production kit from trying to think of the name, the Protec stuff. I brought a whole big production kit and bought gallon jugs of powder paint, and I still have every single one of my gallon jugs is probably maybe half full yet. And that's going on, 25 years? 25 years, and I still haven't gone through, all my colors. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you there, boss. I've never had an issue. Bake at 350 for like 15 minutes. And here's one thing you'll notice right away too, is that if you're putting your paint on too thick, you're going to start getting drips off the top of it, and then you're putting it on a little bit too thick. The nice thing with that powder paint is that production kit. What it does, it uses a pot and uses vibration and air. So that pot's vibrating on some sort of motor or whatnot. It vibrates pretty good, and then the air goes up through these cups. And between the vibration and air, it's like they call it a fluid bed. And that paint, you heat up your jigs, you dip them all in, and you pull them out, and there's just enough powder on those to coat the jig, and that's it. And then you set them off and cool, and you never have to worry about having too much paint on there. And that's the other thing I find too, is that if you're putting a lot of paint on, if you're just dipping it by hand inside a little cup, there's a good chance you're just putting too much on. The stuff on the bottom, is sticking to your jig, but then the outer layers, because it's so thick, it's going to chip a lot easier when it's thick than if it's just got a light coating on there. So, and I know there's guys that have made kind of their own fluid beds, with air and different things, but take a look at that. Pretty inexpensive, and like I said, there's a bunch of guys that have kind of done it themselves with some PVC cups and some different filters in that. But definitely is, if you're into it and you like to do it, make the little bit of investment, get yourself a fluid cup, and you'll thank me later, because it's so much easier. The vinyl's nice and spraying is nice, but I tell you what, there's nothing better than baking powder coats, because it just doesn't come off. And I'm not, like I say, I'm not one of these big guys real heavy on custom colors. I do a two-tone. Most of my jigs are either going to be a green and a chartreuse, an orange and a chartreuse, or a purple and a chartreuse. That's about as crazy as custom colors that I get. And there's nothing pretty about them at all. It's just you dip it in one color, and then I've got another cup over to the side, and just and dab it in the backside. And then eyes, I'm not a big. I don't get too critical on the eyes at all. Let's see. What's your favorite color and thought on plastic? For the run, never did good with plastic on the jigs. Some days are bad. Patrick, plastics, here's the thing. You're going to use what you're comfortable using. It's all about building confidence in a particular bait. I was never a plastic guy. It was, something that I had some bass friends take me out in the fall, and I was a crawler, live bait, crawler, leeches, whatever I could possibly, use. And my buddies would come out, and they'd be throwing next to me, ripping plastics, like they were setting a hook on 8-pound largemouth, but they're just ripping them. And they would outfish me 10-1. And once I started learning how to fish plastics and, building up that confidence, catching fish on it, it's become one of my absolute favorite things to do. I very seldom use live bait anymore. Everything is going to be some sort of artificial plastics or blade baits or rip and wraps, or something that has good motion to it, and that's going to attract more of a reaction bite than anything. When the fish are hungry, they're going to eat. Throw a hot dog down there, they're going to eat. But when they're not hungry and you got to entice them to bite, that reaction bite more times than not is going to piss off a walleye enough to make them bite something. So having something that kind of represents the hatch is great. Jared, go away. Unless you're going to come in here and talk, quit giving away our secrets. Yes, Ned rigs are an incredible bait. Again, another bass tactic that we've used on the Winnebago system, on the Fox River, up in Green Bay on the reefs. It is a deadly way to catch walleyes, and you catch everything on them: smallies, perch, sheephead, catfish, everything's crazy. Jared, go check your Facebook Messenger. I think let's see here. Maybe it didn't. Let me see. Okay, there it goes. Check it again. Here, I'm just going to step away for a quick second, guys. I just need something to drink. All right. Blade baits. Very simple, very effective. Another great arsenal to have in your tackle box. Here's another one that a lot of guys. Whoops. I know everybody uses them ice fishing, but how many guys will throw spoons, Castmasters, open water? These things are absolutely deadly in the summertime. And I think it's probably one of those things where it's maybe starting to catch on. What's happening, Laz? It's, it's one of those baits that you can cast this thing and you see how erratic it is in the wintertime when you're ice fishing. It's just as erratic in the summertime too. There we go. We're going to bring the man, the myth, the legend, fresh out of the shower, all cleaned up, polished.
Yeah.
And ready to go.
What's going on?
Jared Gilbertson. So Jared, people that don't know, Jared's helps me out a lot of times in the wintertime, ice fishing. He's an ex-retired salmon guide over out of Port Washington. And now he's had a couple. Well, this was what? Is this your second year now? Second springtime you've had off?
Yep. And enjoying every bit of it.
Yeah. Normally he's getting the boats ready for salmon fishing, but last year he didn't do it, and he was on the river walleye fishing with us. And this year he's going to do it again too. So
I can't see any comments or anything though.
You can't see the comments? Are you on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably why. So we were just talking baits and the different things. Here I'll show you a couple colors that I really like, especially for out on the Fox. Once this water starts to get a little dirty, I think the pink and white is probably one of my favorites. Pretty much all year. I love this color up in Oconto. Does really well up there. Both rip and wraps and on blade baits. The other, blue and silver. What do you got, Jared?
No, I was going to tell Kaylee to let me see your phone so I can see comments. Yeah, I was up on the Fox today. The carp up there are incredible.
So did you catch any of the quillbacks?
We could have had fun with it. We were kind of we caught one big sturgeon, one carp, but then after that we were just basically pulling off all the rest of the fish we got on.
Gotcha. Fishing is cruel. It should be illegal. Aiden. Boy, oh boy.
What's going on, Laz?
I don't know where that Aiden's from, but he's probably not from Wisconsin.
What is that?
He says fishing is cruel. It should be illegal.
Same with eating plants.
Yeah. So there's another color. I like that purple. Now, as you see, guys, what's that?
Are those the ones you just got?
Yeah, quiet. Shh. We're not telling anybody where we got these from. You can see, okay, there's no real crazy scale patterns or anything like that. But what there is a contrast in color. So as this thing, vibrates through the water, you see a belly that's white and you get a darker top. So you get that, and there he is. I'm just kidding. Fishing is awesome. You were almost getting ready to get blocked there, boss. I don't need no negativity on the page. So, I mean, again, not a big fan of all the big custom painted stuff. Just your basic colors. One color here I'm trying to find that probably gets overlooked more than anything. But if you grew up fishing with your dad or your grandpa, and anybody ever went up to Canada and fished pike up in Canada, or still to this day, any daredevil, what color? Before I even show it, we'll see how many people can guess it. If you think of a daredevil, what color of a daredevil do you think of? Jared?
Red and white.
Red and white. There you go. Probably the most overlooked color that there is the red and white.
Oh, yeah.
More people have caught fish on this color right here than probably any other color scheme probably known to man. There's a reason for that. That's because you get, again, that contrast in color. And that's really what it is, guys, is, these fish are they're attracted to something that is going through the water, giving you that contrast. They're not going to come up and look at every scale pattern and every little fine detail in a bait. They're going to see it for a split second and they're going to decide if they're going to eat it or not. So,
I think some of the P10s, or no, the hit sticks, they got that now in that color scheme.
Yes. Yep. And I've got some of those.
Yeah.
I'm excited to go up there and throw those hit sticks this year. I think those are going to be a good bait.
I used them last year in the fall. They worked all right. That was one of Nate's favorite baits last year in the fall.
Was a hit stick?
Yep.
So Berkeley used to make, when the Frenzies, the fire stick first came out, this goes back probably 20 years.
Yeah.
They had a bait that, honestly, when you look at the hit stick compared to what the original fire stick was, there's not much difference. The nose is a little bit different, but the bait is pretty darn close. So I don't think they really reinvented anything. I just think they brought back a legend that needed to be tweaked a little bit from 20 years ago. And that was the best bait I had for casting up at the dams. Whether it be, we cast Menasha Dam or, De Pere up at the Fox, any place that we casted crankbaits up in shallow water, stuff like that, that bait blew everything away. The problem is it wasn't built very well, banging off the rocks or, whatever. The bills would break, the metal eyelets would come rip out of the baits. So there were a few issues with them. So I think now with them having them redesigned here and change the name, I think they're going to do pretty well.
Yeah. So we're going to fish tomorrow or what?
That's kind of what we're looking at planning on doing. We just got to figure out where we're going to go.
Spent a lot of time in Green Bay. I'm done with it.
What's that?
I'm done with Green Bay.
Done with Green Bay? Yeah. I'm thinking that, hitting the River 41 Bridge, Oshkosh, some of those places just to go check and see. There's fish going up. We could go hit the Wolf and, go down towards the mouth of the river. And,
there's going to be loaded.
41?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was fish there the other day. Me and Kaylee went out. And a guy decided to bring his boat out and hot rod all around and break all the ice up. So we were kind of forced to leave because all the launches were filling up with ice.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think we could have got some nice fish then. They were there. There was fish there for sure.
Sure. So Aiden asked, do any of you fish for pike? Aiden, that's one of the July, August, man, into September. Is absolutely one of my favorite things to do, fishing topwater pike. I got Jared hooked on it here. There's a couple local spots, and when I tell you that we can go out there and catch 30, 40 fish in a very short order, that's pretty legit. And you've got the chance. I think last year my biggest one was like 30, just under 39. I know we've had some 40s on, just didn't land them. A lot of those, low to mid 30s, and it's an absolute blast. Casting top waters over the tops of these weeds these fish just explode. And I make some custom baits. Everybody knows what a chatterbait is. But what I've done is when I got done with my building here, I had some leftover tin, and I took a chatterbait bill and basically made it about, I don't know, I'd say they got to be 2.5 to 3 inches. Big, and I've taken them off, or I take the small ones off and then put these big blades on there. And when you're reeling in this, this big chatterbait, it's literally, I mean, it's pumping. And when these pike feel that or see that, man, it's all over. And they crush it. I'm a big fan of chatterbaits for pike.
The whopper ploppers.
Whopper ploppers too, yep. I should have those coming here. Those should be here by the end of the week. How about reef runners or bandits worth fishing in the river? Laws, what river are we talking about here? I know you guys have been on the river for 2 weeks. I was talking to Hanson here earlier today, and he said that you guys have been open water fishing. I don't fish a lot of crankbaits in the river. Like midsummer, late summer, on those deep holes, we'll pull some lead core up and down the river with crankbaits. But if I'm fishing in the river, I'm typically throwing hair jigs or blade baits, or just vertical jigging or pitching jigs with crawlers, plastics, leeches, something. But in key spots in the river. My favorite is still probably a hair jig. Getting on these current seams. Using the electronics, finding these holes, seeing where all the fish are stacked, get off to the side, cast upriver, and just work these hair jigs back down through those holes. And that's my favorite way to fish. Otherwise, on our system, the Winnebago system is pretty unique, other than down by like the Rock River, Koshkonong, are fishing flies, these streamer flies for walleyes and white bass. And like I said, we're going to shoot a video on that, specifically on how I tie my stuff up. And we'll show you some different ways to pull those, cast them. And I know a lot of guys have been waiting for that. So we'll see if maybe Jared can do that. What's that?
1, 2, and 3 at a time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. This white bass run this year is going to be so much fun with how big these white bass are. I cannot wait to go out there and pound on them. So if anybody wants to get out, I know there's still a few dates left. I tell everybody from like Mother's Day, a week before to a couple weeks after is going to be the prime time if you want to get out and really whack on some whiteys. Don't miss that bite. That is probably the most fun any person can have. Good for kids, anybody, it doesn't matter your skill level. I will make sure you catch a pile of fish. Just make sure you eat your Cheerios in the morning and bring some Advil for the sore wrists and sore hands after reeling all day. Any good spots near the River Falls area? I don't get over that way. The Wisconsin River. Jared, do you know any places over there?
By the Wisconsin?
No, Black River Falls area.
Oh. So,
you've got the Mississippi. I mean, when you get over there, you've got the Mississippi, but the Wisconsin River, from like, from Mosinee, Wausau area is about as far west as I really go and fish. I don't get much further than that. And then, all the way down through Petenwell and Castle Rock. Personal best muskie for you guys. Mine's a 55. And that was up on the bay.
I'm at 48. Cannot break 50.
We'll have to fix that this year.
I catch more muskie walleye fishing than I do muskie fishing. So,
well, that's the thing. This time of the year, when you're up on the Fox River, up in De Pere and stuff, a lot of guys catch those muskies because they're up there feeding, eating all the walleyes, right? That's what everybody says.
Last week I got a 48.
Nice.
It was the first fish that jinxed me the rest of the day. Fishing was terrible for me.
You got to change your line. You got to change your baits, everything to get that musky slime off once you get one, because those walleyes don't want nothing to do with that.
And they reek up there.
Oh, they're terrible.
They stink.
Eric wants to know how that musky tastes.
Oh yeah, musky nuggets.
Yeah, the cheeks, all right. You cut the tail meat off and the cheeks and let them go.
Yep. Yep. There's some sensitive people out there telling me gill them, and it's like World War III.
Oh boy, did you guys get tore apart today for holding that sturgeon by the gills?
I know, right?
It's dead. It swam away, but it's dead.
Yeah. It winked at us, but it's all right.
Yeah. Oh boy.
We gotta love them.
You know, it's so sad what this world has become. Nobody can congratulate anybody anymore. Nobody can wish anybody good luck anymore or wish anything good on anybody. It's always, somebody shaming somebody or, wishing bad or, everything's just negative. It's just horrible. Social media, whatever it may be, jealousy, guys sitting behind a computer wishing they were out there can have nothing better to do than just to rip on other guys. And it's really become sad.
I just watched something today. My brother, I think, sent me a video, and it said something about Einstein. He did math, and then he said, 9 times 10, and he said 91, and everyone made fun of him. And he's like, it's funny how everything else I did, no one said a word, but the one mistake I made, everyone blew up.
It's with anything. You go look at reviews from any manufacturer that's out there. I don't care who it is, whether it's Lexus or Tesla or Chevy, Ford, Lund, Nitro, Ranger. I mean, it does not matter. You never see much on good stuff, but the minute or one thing breaks on a vehicle, that guy is getting an attorney. He's suing. It's the biggest pile of junk he's ever had. This and that. It's horrible. Everything has flaws. People are human. Mistakes are made. Nothing is perfect. And if you have something that is, please tell me, because I would love to see it. There is nothing.
People ask me about ratings on fishing guides and stuff like that. I always tell them if they're a 5-star, I wouldn't go with them, because there's no such thing as a 5-star charter. It's not possible. I did it for almost 20 years. You're not going to be perfectly, rise and shine every day. You're not going to have 5 stars. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you're going to have a review here and there.
We do our best, and we had some tough days ice fishing this year. But you know what? The guys that came out, all we can do is work hard for them. I will always guarantee people I will put them on fish, whether I can make them bite or not. That is out of my control. The only thing, maybe is we start buying really big treble hooks and saying, here, work these baits really hard. Shake aggressively. Maybe you will catch one.
When we were out walleye fishing, I took my mom over the weekend. She had a blast. She made a comment about my dad, and one of the walleyes was snagged, and she goes, oh, you threw it back? I said, you can't keep a snake fish. She looked at me. She's like, your dad did it all the time. I'm like, I don't care what my dad did.
Oh, those were the days.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we got? Boats, if anybody's still looking, I know the marinas and everything are starting to get really, really busy getting boats out. Everything's starting a lot earlier. So if you need to get your boat in for any maintenance or anything like that, do it now. Don't wait, because you're not going to be able to get your boat out in time. Believe it or not, boat sales have taken off tremendously. Talking to the guys up at Sportamotive, they are selling a pile of boats. And what that means is, these boats need electronics, trolling motors, graphs, stuff like that. We're starting to see that stuff disappear pretty quick. And it's going to be to that point again where you're going to start seeing inventory issues again. So if you guys are interested, don't wait, get out there and get that. Eric, hey bud, thanks for joining. Have a good night. Drive safe. Polish up your shovels. Get ready for Thursday and Friday to do a bunch more shoveling. Greg asked, what do you think about Panoptics and Live Scope? So it's a great tool. It has definitely helped for locating. Again, everybody says that, it's cheating, and I agree to a point. I mean, for us guides, most of the people I know run them now, and it definitely helps you find the fish. And really, that's half the battle, right? Is finding them. And once you find them, then you got to figure out how to get them to eat. So with the Panoptics, not only can you find them, but you can really watch, what they're doing, how they're reacting, and you can play around and really key in on what these fish are doing to try and get them to eat. And it's definitely helped, but it's also going to destroy fisheries. So with electronics and with advancements in electronics and technology, we have to start policing ourselves better and doing a better job at managing, what we take out of these lakes, and really how we're going to, keep fish in our systems for years to come. Because the better the electronics get, the better the the baits and rods and reels and everything. Technology has improved so much that it's making it easier to catch these fish. So we just got to be careful. I mean, that's really all it is. I don't think you'll ever see it go away, but who knows? They're starting to ban them in tournaments. They look at the deer hunting side of things. They're banning the use of cell phone cameras or trail cameras in some states because they feel that it's a disadvantage. So they're getting away with that. Who's to say that they don't start banning forward-facing sonar? So who knows? I mean, it's kind of one of these things where it's new yet. Guys are really starting to jump on the bandwagon. It seems like more and more guys. I look at being out on the ice 3 years ago, and I was probably one of the only guys running around on the lake with a 360. Now you go out there on a Saturday or Sunday, and every single person you see has Live Scope or 360. Not one or two, I'm talking hundreds. So when you have that many people, chasing down fish, it doesn't take long to, really dissect the lake, especially these small bodies of water, and you're going to put a serious hurting on the fish population. So, great responsibility comes with having all this stuff, and it's all up to us to stay on it.
Is anyone on the wolf yet?
I think Greg. Yeah, Greg. So Greg said the wolf is slow. Where you been fishing, Greg? Bill Busby, thanks for the comment. He says they make it very easy to see what the fish is doing down there. I was able to see it in action this winter with a guide we used on the bay. Blew my mind. I will say my kid loved the fishing. It is, like I said, it's a great tool. It's fun to watch. Gives you a much better perspective of just watching a flasher or a 2D sonar. You can watch these fish come in, and I mean, Jared's been with me how many times this year where we had the Live Scope down and there's just solid fish. I mean, 3-5 feet thick. And these fish, were working the baits up and down, keeping them steady. These fish would rock it up, look at it, and go away. Come back up and go away. Come back up and go away. And, they won't eat. And there's nothing you're going to be able to do to make them bite. I mean, I'd say 1 out of 20 fish, you might, get one that comes up, tries to take a swipe at a bait by accident, and you might hook them if you're quick enough. But for the most part, it's just one of these things where it's a great tool, but it's still not going to catch the fish. I mean, you still have to catch them. So Greg said he's been south near the mouth to Chico's. Any fish are tight on the snags. So Greg, are you seeing them in the deep holes, or are you seeing them up shallower?
I figured out how to see comments. No, I'm not looking. Wondering.
Ah, there you go. Perfect. I'm just waiting for Greg to answer if he was seeing him in the deep holes or not. You know, typically on the way up, 15, 18 feet. So yeah, typically on the way up, you know, they're going to start coming through in pods, and you're going to find them, you know, the best time to catch them on the way up is always right away in the morning on the shallow flats. You know, that's where they're cruising. And then now with our full moon, I seen we had a full moon tonight. So these fish are going to start, you know, really moving around at night, and they're going to be cruising, and it won't be long. These guys will have their rafts up and start getting these fish on the way up. And you know, the way up on the way up can be pretty good, but still the best fishing is always when they come back down. That's still my favorite time to catch them.
How is the current out there?
He said it's really slow, and I seen that too when I went and checked it. Water's really low, and it's really slow. So up on the Fox today, though, you guys, I mean, water looks like that's moving pretty good.
It was decent in some spots. Some spots was a little slower. I'd still say where I like it, it's still about 2 feet lower than what I like it.
Sure. So, and Greg's saying very few fish yet and very slow. You know, it may be slow, but from what I seen, you know, what was it? 10 days ago, probably. Oh, no, it was more than that. You know, 2 weeks ago, right before Battle on Bago, all the amount of walleyes that were going up that river was incredible. I mean, all day long, every day for 2 weeks. At the mouth of the river, those fish were coming through by tens of thousands heading upriver. So they're there, and I know like a lot of guys were still getting fish on the ice up in New London like crazy here a week ago. So the fish are already up. A lot of fish are already upriver, and I think we're going to start to see more. You know, now we'll get the Winnebago fish starting to come up. I think a lot of the Poigan fish and a lot of the river fish already scooted by, and now you'll start to see, you know, the Winnebago fish once they start drawing down the water, putting a little bit of current in the system. You know, those fish from Winnebago start staging and heading up. Now, normally, you know, right about now is the time where we're out in front of the Coke plant, and you know, fishing by the mouth of the river in Oshkosh on the ice, and this is going to be like year 2 or 3 where we just haven't been able to do it because the ice has gone out so fast. So that means you got to go there with the boats, because just because the ice is gone doesn't mean the fish are gone. The fish are there, and that's what I want to go catch.
Troy, I'm going to jump off right now.
All right.
Holding this phone. So, all right, we'll see you later. Give me a call when you're done.
All right, sounds good, man. Thanks for joining. We'll talk to you later. Bye. Let's see. The full moon, that explains why I feel my beard is growing. Greg, yeah, I do watch the fish cams. I'm actually in the process. We're going to get the one going out in Winneconne. We're going to be putting one at the bridge in Winneconne this year as well. So that'll probably happen here in the next you know, couple weeks. I got to get over there and get that thing set up and running it out of the Wolf River house. So that'll be neat to see what happens to Winneconne. We've never had an underwater camera there. Markham donated a camera. We've got new fiber optic internet out there, and we should have good bandwidth enough to stream that. And stay tuned, because that's going to be pretty cool to see once we get that thing going. Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna do. We'll probably do some lives and some more stuff on the water. Like I said, we're gonna first things first. We're gonna work on the white bass or the fly tying video and get that going for you guys so you can see that. Like I said, I got a kind of a whole different twist to how I do my fly rigs. But first, I got to get the boat done and get that thing ready to go, because I am itching to get out on the open water and set the hook on a long rod. I'm I'm kind of over the whole ice thing. The winter was not too kind to me, and just one of those years where we're just going to write it off and move on. And hopefully next winter we'll have a much better ice season, and Mother Nature can give us a normal winter for once. It would be really nice to get ice early and keep it here until, I'd say, April. I'd be okay if we kept it till April. I'd be happy with that. Other than that, I don't have anything else for you guys. I appreciate everybody joining in, and if you have any questions, please shoot me some messages. I'll do my best to answer anything you guys are looking for, baits, gear, any of that kind of stuff. And then, like I say, once we get the boat on the water, we'll go through and show you what that's all looking like, and it'll be good to go. So excited to show you that stuff to you, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys here on the water. Good luck if you get out this week and weekends, wherever you may be. Looks like we're going to be shoveling and plowing snow again, and that'll be good. So yeah, Adam, hey man, shoot me a message. I've got a couple camera questions here for you too. So I will, if we can get out in the boat and you can shoot some video or some pictures or whatever fishing, that'd be awesome to have a camera guy in the boat with me, and then we'll do some fishing. So appreciate it. Okay, guys, cheers, and we'll catch you guys here in 2 weeks. We will not be doing this next week. I will be in California on vacation with the kiddos. So we'll send you some pictures from Santa Monica and Hollywood, Beverly Hills, and then we're actually going to spend a few days over in Vegas too. We're going to drive over, see the Grand Canyon and maybe the Hoover Dam, and spend a couple days in Vegas and show the kids, what the big city is. So should be a good time. I'm looking forward to just kind of getting away. Hopefully it'll be warmer than what it's been. Looks like they're getting a bunch of snow and stuff there right now. So I hope that all goes away by next week. So have fun, everybody. Thanks again for joining, and we'll catch you guys here in a couple weeks. Cheers.